Well, hello, how are you today? My name is Jeff, and I'm so glad you can be with me today. Before we get started, I thought I'd talk about my Twitter account. I'm up to over 100 followers. That's right, triple digits. It won't be long till I'm up there with Taylor Swift, right? Anyway, the reason why I bring it up is because more than half my followers are like these 5 who became new followers just last night. Many are women, like this Harriet Thorns, who have no description, no posts, and almost no followers. I'm thinking that maybe it's a scam. What do you think? I don't know. I'm not going to follow them, that's for sure. Anyway, so today I'm going to talk about a film that was first shown on Mystery Science Theater 3000 on November 24th, 1990. It's a 1951 adventure film called Lost Continent, directed by Sam Newfield, starring Cesar Romero, Hilary Brooks, Chick Chandler, Sid Melton, Hugh Beaumont, and others. This was the Mystery Science Theater 3000 episode in which TV's Frank invents some new exercising machines. Joel and the bots meet Hugh Beaumont, who turns out to be one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. And later, Joel, Crow, and Tom do a sketch called The Explorers, a Quinn Martin production, in which Joel plays a condescending explorer, while the other 2 refuse to play along with his white male reality. Incredible! Atomic-powered sweep to a new world of thrills. C. Battle to the death of the dinosaurs. C. The terrifying spectacle of an entire island blowing up. C. Modern man against prehistoric monsters. First, atomic-powered sweep through a new world of thrills? Maybe I'm stupid, but I don't even know what that means. And I think they're overplaying the dinosaur stuff just a little. And what's this? Spoiler! Anyway, for those new to the show, while I'm talking about a film that was first shown on Mystery Science Theater 3000, I'm more talking about the film itself and not so much about Joel and the bots. I mean, their episodes are almost all online. You can watch it anytime you want, and they're a lot funnier than I'll ever be. Anyway, okay, I'm not going to talk too much about Robert L. Lippert or Sam Newfield. I talked about Robert Lippert on my Jungle Goddess episode, and I talked about Newfield on my Mad Monster episode. But for a quick reminder, Lippert was a theater owner who made his own low-budget films in order to avoid rental costs of studio films, and Newfield was one of Poverty Row's most prolific directors, directing like 1 million films or something. Okay, that might be an exaggeration, but he directed a hell of a lot of films. These 2 made films cheap and quick, like this one that was shot in 11 days in April of 1951. And probably most of that was the actors climbing rocks. I don't know what the budget was for this film, but I couldn't imagine it was all that much. Now, the first thing I noticed when I began researching this film was that it was 83 minutes long. That might not sound like long, but look, most of these B-film cheapies are barely an hour, and that would have been fine. In fact, as any fan of MST3K would know, it should be an hour long, except for the 20 minutes of pointless rock climbing. And I will try from this point on not to mention rock climbing again. Joel, Crow, Tom, Dr. Forrester, and Frank pointed out enough again and again. So let's move on. No more rock climbing talk. Not by me. Maybe. Now, if you remember my show about Rocket Ship XM, the one Lippert released the year before this one, the original idea was to have the space crew come across prehistoric creatures on the moon. That idea was changed for budget reasons, but Mr. Lippert must have liked it because he returned to that idea for this film, using some of the cheapest stop-motion effects in perhaps the history of motion pictures. And one trick he used in Rocket Ship XM was to tint the black and white footage red when they're on the surface of Mars. He tried a similar thing here, turning the screen green to represent the jungle, although I don't think it works as well. This film was written by a fellow named Richard A. Landau, based on a story by Carol Young. Carol Young lived from 1909 to 1992. I couldn't find a picture of Carol. All searches just turn up pictures of Lewis Carroll. Anyway, he was the writer of a bunch of jungle films, such as Tarzan and the Leopard Woman from 46, Captive Girl from 50, Pygmy Island also from 50, Cannibal Attack from 54, and others. I have no idea why he only came up with the story and didn't write the screenplay. Richard A. Landau wrote the film. Richard lived from 1914 to 1993, and I couldn't find his picture either. He wrote such films as FBI Girl from 1951, Bad Blonde from 1953, Frankenstein 1970 from 58, and Born Reckless also from 1958. He also did a hell of a lot of TV work. Now, as far as the actors, I'm going to start with Hilary Brooks, who played Marla Stevens. Hilary was an American film actress who lived from 1914 to 1999. The reason why I'm going to bring her up first is she receives top billing, only second to Cesar Romero, but she's barely in the film. Hilary had a long career. I remember her from 3 Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce Sherlock Holmes films, Sherlock Holmes and the Voice of Terror from 42, Sherlock Holmes Faces Death in 43, and The Woman in Green from 45. She was never a big-name actor. One reason might be that she refused to play dumb blonde parts. And I applaud her for that, but also, as she said, I never thought I was a great actress. Maybe I would have been better if I worked harder at it, but I enjoyed my career and the wonderful people I worked with. The question is, why is she billed so high up in the cast? She's only in the film for a quick moment. I have a theory about this. There's another film called The Atomic Submarine that came out in 1959, and it does a similar thing with the wonderful Joy Lansing. And I believe there's been others. When you have a film that's going to be all men on an adventure, I think producers feel the film would do better if filmgoers believe a beautiful woman is also in the film. So they hire a gorgeous blonde like Joy Lansing or Hilary Brooks, write a quick scene at the beginning, and then forget about them once the scene is over. Oddly, both films start with a military man who's hoping to have a romantic evening with a beautiful blonde, only to get interrupted with an important assignment. Of course, the real star of this film is Cesar Romero, who plays Major Joe Nolan. Cesar was an American actor and activist who lived from 1907 to 1994. People of my generation know him from the 1966-67 Batman TV show in which he played the Joker. But the fact is, he had a career in film, radio, and television that lasted almost 60 years. And frankly, he's one of the reasons to watch this movie. Cesar played Latin lover type roles from the 1930s to the 1950s, and he also played the Cisco Kid in a series of 6 westerns. But by the time of this film, he was getting older, and he was going gray, and to his credit, refused to dye his hair. Why should I, he asked. This is the way my hair is, and this is the way it's going to stay. By the 1950s, he began to appear in more B films like this one here. Chick Chandler plays Lieutenant Danny Wilson. Femmer Christy Chick Chandler lived from 1905 to 1988. He was another of those hard-working actors who just kept acting for over 46 years both in TV and films. His most well-known role was on the TV series Soldier of Fortune, which ran from 1955 to 1957. John Hoyt plays Michael Rostov. John MacArthur Hoysted lived from 1905 to 1991, and he's another man with a long career. He was in such films as The Lawless from 1950, Julius Caesar from 1953, The Blackboard Jungle from 1955, Spartacus from 1960, and Cleopatra from 1963. But more importantly to this crowd, he was in the films When Worlds Collide from 1951, Attack of the Puppet People from 1958, X the Man with the X-Ray Eyes from 63, Curse of the Undead from 1959, The Time Travelers from 1964, and Flesh Gordon from 1974. Hugh Beaumont plays Robert Phillips. Eugene Hugh Beaumont lived from 1910 to 1982. Most people of my age will know him as Ward Cleaver from the TV show Leave It to Beaver, which ran from 1957 to 1963. Hey, I'm not actually that old. I remember these films from reruns. Anyway, he was also Private Detective Michael Shane in a series of low-budget crime films from 1946 to 1947. Some of his other films of note are The Flying Missile from 1950, The Mole People from 1956, and The Human Duplicators from 1965. And here's a little bit of trivia. He was also a minister in the Methodist Church, so. The pretty native girl in the film is played by Aquanetta. While Aquanetta was known as the Venezuelan Volcano and was known for her exotic beauty, she was born as Mildred Davenport in Newberry, South Carolina, and lived from 1921 to 2004. She was an American B-movie actress who was in such films as Rhythm of the Islands from 1943 and Jungle Woman from 1944. In both films, she played a character named Paula Dupree, the Gorilla Girl. She had a short acting career that began in 1942 and was pretty much over by 1953. And the last actor I'll talk about is Sid Melton. Sid was born Sidney Meltzler and lived from 1917 to 2011. I have to hand it to Sid in this film. He tries so hard to be the comic relief, but his dialogue is, well, it isn't funny. He had a long career in films including Radar Secret Service from 1950, Savage Drums from 51, The Atomic Submarine from 59, Six Pack Annie from 1975, and he also played on The Danny Thomas Show from 1953 to 1965. In an interview with film historian Tom Weaver, Sid said, "I remember so much about Lost Continent for the simple reason that I thought it was that wonderful a picture. And the amazing thing is that no one I speak to fails to bring up that picture when they're talking about my career, and I've been in this business for over 50 years. So what is Lost Continent? Well, we started a U.S. government proving grounds in White Sands, New Mexico, and hey, wait a minute. Can we watch the beginning of Rocket Ship XM? And now the beginning of this film? Good going, Lippert. Way to save a few bucks. Anyway, a V-2 rocket is blasted off and is being tracked on radar. This must be an important test because all the men are looking so serious. And everything seems to be going just fine. Uh-oh, at the point the rocket was supposed to turn back, it didn't.
Where is it now?
It's getting below the horizon. It's gone.
He doesn't look happy. But if they can find where the rocket crashed, the mission won't be a total failure. Major Joe Nolan is having drinks with the beautiful Marla Steffens. Joe seems to be having a memory problem.
Oh, sure. What's the matter with me? That was Tuesday night I saw you.
Wednesday.
And just when things are getting romantic and Joe is going to get what he came for, the evening is spoiled by a couple of soldiers who bring orders for a special assignment. Next we meet Sergeant William Tatlow, and Tatlow has a thing for planes, to the point where it's almost a sickness.
I don't want any more complaints out of you, sweetheart. Willie gave you all new parts, now use them. And you, my blood you got. Half the night I spent over you. What happens? Wrong size. Now you got a new one that fits, use it, be relaxed, and satisfied.
And it's not long before our crew is heading for the spot where they think the rocket has crashed.
You get a load of that wing spray. Listen to her sing. I tell you, she's a dream, Doc. My baby.
If she could only cook.
Yeah. Oh, Doc, yeah, I can see you haven't had much experience with dames. You know, the first thing you gotta know is never spoil their makeup.
Oh, they are such a charming bunch, aren't they? We are going to have so much fun with this group. And on board there's Mikhail Rostov, a Russian, and Joe looks at him with a little suspicion.
There are always unpredictables.
And I wouldn't know about that. My life's always depended on the human element. Well, I'll see you later.
After a quick and pointless refueling, they begin to look for the rocket from the air. But then the music lets us know that something important is about to happen.
Rostov, Fritz, I picked up something. The Geiger's jumping all over the place.
Radioactivity. The plane is in trouble. But don't worry, they're okay. They're just lost in the jungle. They come across a village, and there they meet a jungle woman and her brother. They've seen the rocket. Luckily for them, she speaks English.
Do you know English?
From missionary school, island over there, where my people go.
It seems the rocket crashed on a sacred mountain. She warns them that if they go there, they're not coming back.
Aren't you coming with us?
No.
We'll see that nothing happens to you.
Sacred mountain taboo. No one ever come back from home of gods.
And so now the rock climbing begins. And while they camp for the night, Joe is still suspicious about the Russian dude. One expedition member, Stanley Briggs, shows Joe pictures of his 2 kids. Hey, that's a big mistake. Anyway, Rostov sees something during a thunderstorm.
Up there, on the rock.
Oh no, a lizard! But no one else sees it. Back to climbing. Now remember Stanley Briggs, the one who was hoping to get back to see his wife and kids? It's like we didn't see that coming. But here's the thing, why was his death so boring? We've already seen a prehistoric monster. Come on, writers, you can do better than that. Maybe set up a little mystery? Whatever. Now the question, was Rostov responsible?
It was unexpected. I tried to hold him, but I didn't have the strength.
Another one of your unpredictables?
And finally, 20 minutes after they started climbing, we get to the top. And along with the lush prehistoric jungle, they discover that there's uranium.
See what you make of this.
Hey, Major, we picked something up.
That's it, Phillips.
What's the rundown?
Definite signs of radioactivity.
That explains a lot. And so now we're going from rock climbing to walking. But during the break,
These tracks are fresh. They're not more than an hour old.
That's fine, so they're fresh, but what do they fit?
Nothing human I ever saw. Not even my top sergeant had feet that big.
I've seen tracks like these before.
Yeah, where?
In a museum?
come on, we all know what's coming. We saw the poster. Get to some monsters and let's start having some fun. Finally, come on now, the Brontosaurus was a herbivore. You know, a T-Rex would have been a lot more appropriate.
That thing's got more armor than a tank.
Does it? Does it really? That night. And you know what we need right now? A little humor from our comic relief.
Everything about you. Beautiful, beautiful. There's just one thing about you, baby. If you could just have propellers instead of jets. Perfect.
The next morning, something's wrong.
You were on guard. Why didn't you watch them?
Who?
Rostov and Phillips, they're gone.
I did. I never closed my eyes all night.
Do you ever think that they left to go to the bathroom? I mean, that's not an unreasonable thing to think, right? Anyway, it's Rostov, and what's he doing with Phillips? But before we get an explanation, oh crap, a Triceratops! Robert Phillips is a bit whiny, don't you think?
Go ahead and yell. Do you good. You got us trapped into this. Now go ahead and yell loud.
I thought Joe was gonna kill him for a second. Looks like we have a battle of Triceratops. I've got my money on the green one. Don't laugh, it took the stop motion people all afternoon to complete these special effects. So it turns out the Russian isn't a bad guy. In fact, there's no bad guys in this film.
Because
still be seen.
Joe apologizes. We learn that Rostov lost his wife and unborn baby during World War II.
All respect for my country lies dead in those camps. I hope to go back and resurrect it someday.
Now, to make a long story short, for some reason we can't use the Geiger counter to locate the rocket anymore, and the crew seems a bit ready to rebel. But Joe knows just what to say.
We're low on food, we're low on water, and we're low on ammunition. Maybe we're getting a little low on nerves. But I got news for you. I walk around with my guts twisted up same as you. I want to clear out of here the same as you. I didn't ask to be trapped in this rat race, but as long as I'm here, I'll try and finish. Anybody who wants to can knock it off now.
Feel better, Major?
And one by one, each man shows his support. A pterosaur lands nearby, and so one of the guys, I think it's Wilson, shoots it because that's what you do to a rare species that was thought to be extinct for over 220 million years. You kill it! Anyway, while looking for the corpse, they find the rocket.
Hey, look! Oh, with a mad passion, I love you.
Let's get to it.
But there's a problem. A brontosaurus and a pair of triceratops. They use a little gunfire to scare them off and get what they need from the rocket. But wouldn't you know it, Sergeant William Tatlow isn't making jokes anymore.
Joe!
I'm gonna miss that guy. So now, with 2 men less than they started with, the group begins a slow descent down the mountain because Joe wants no more trouble. And then, with less than 5 minutes left in the film, and for no reason at all, the cliche that happens in every single Lost World type film, the strange land that existed for over 250 million years self-destructs. So how unlikely is that? This place has existed for millions of years, and the one time that humans visit it, a catastrophic earthquake begins and destroys it all. Wait a minute, remember that native girl and her brother who helped you? You guys want to go back and maybe help her? No? Okay. But you can steal her boat then, right? They should have a scene in which Aquanetta runs down to the boat to escape, but finds that her boat is gone. Then she looks up to see Cesar Romero laughing like the Joker.
A world coming to an end. Better this way than to have it go on living with us.
A world coming to an end. Better this way than have it go on living with us. Really? What a stupid line. Anyway, the best I can say is, I didn't hate this movie. If you cut out the rock climbing scenes and make it like an hour-long film, I don't think it would have been that bad. Now, from what I've read, no one really knows who did the special effects for this movie, so somebody isn't getting credit. Now, there's a story about Ray Harryhausen, after hearing that Lippert was going to make a Lost World type film, went to him with Ray Bradbury to see if they could get hired to do the animation. When they found out how little money Lippert was offering for those effects, they left in disgust. After they saw the film, they went up to Lippert and said, "If this is the best you can do, we're glad we had nothing to do with it." Anyway. The music, I think, is pretty good. It was by a fellow named Paul Dunlap. Paul lived from 1919 to 2010 and was an American composer who wrote music for over 200 films during his 30-year career. He is best known for his work in Western movies. This film was pretty early in his career, and he also did the scores for such films as Target Earth from 1954, The Bad Sisters from 1956, I Was a Teenage Werewolf from 1957, The Blood of Dracula, also from 57, The Rebel set from '59, Shock Corridor from 1963, and so many more. Now, the Mystery Science Theater 3000 version was about 80 minutes long, while the real film was about 83 minutes long, so you're not missing much there at all. But the thing is, Mystery Science Theater 3000 showed a complete black and white version, and not a green tinted version, which begins when they entered the land of dinosaurs. So jokes like this don't make any sense.
Hey, I gone colorblind. Need with 20/20 vision.
And on Mystery Science Theater, Crow points that out.
Hey, I gone colorblind.
Well, if this movie were color, that would mean something.
So at this point, why don't we watch a few minutes of the best of Mystery Science Theater 3000?
Hey, look, Aquanetta. Snot is running down her nose.
Jerry, there's something wrong with the stock footage simulator. Mrs. Roosevelt's looking fine. As I was telling that other guy, I never wanted to die in a plane, but now I'm very excited about it.
Genocide has a C in it, sir.
Dead end. Dead end.
Dead end, dead end, dead end, dead end. Sorry.
Hey, my watch has never done that before. It's trilling.
This place is crawling with Goldak. No one will be admitted during the breathtaking climbing scene.
I wonder if this plot will ever get moving.
Rock climbing, Servo.
Rock climbing.
Rock
Joe.
climbing.
Rock climbing, Crow. Cambot, rock climbing.
Oh, come on, what is this?
What is it they're looking for?
They forgot. They don't even know.
Come on, God, why?
This is
Why?
a madhouse!
Why?
A madhouse!
Would someone please tell the director about compressing time through editing?
Got to try and keep padding out the film.
Noonan.
Noonan.
Miss
Noonan.
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 Noonan. Oh.
Jeez, you're like a gazelle, Caesar. Here, plot. Plot. Here, plot. Storyline.
You know what a miracle is, Lieutenant?
The words "the end."
Amen.
Line anybody? Anybody?
So, here we are again.
Oh, no.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ay, ay, ay.
Hey, somebody shot Terry. Nice job.
I'm going to ask this once again, and it's only for the sake of conversation, but what do you think is the tastiest part of the human body?
Guys, you're okay. It's only the camera that's shaking. Come on.
Gilligan!
Little buddy. Oh, they must all be out in the lagoon.
Get away! The stock footage is erupting.
Well, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. And next week I'll be back and I'll return to the world of Ross Hagen with the 1968 Anthony Cardoza produced outlaw biker classic, The Hellcats. Yes, we'll try to make it through that one. Anyway, again, thank you. Thanks for all you who've subscribed this week, who comment. It's really appreciated. It really is. Take care. So long. Bye.